As the guards dragged away the lifeless body of Thryador Bruan, Carym and Zack turned from the bloody spectacle in sadness and disgust. It was all Carym could do to control his emotions. The stakes had been raised, and he knew that any slip here could cost them both of their lives. Fortunately, the men had a few moments to compose themselves, while the prisoners were escorted from the temple square. He forced a straight face as one of the temple monks approached them. It was all he could do not to plant his sword in the man's chest. "Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am Brother Roderius. I apologize for the delay in receiving you, but I was engaged with our god's business. May Croz bless you on this day." Carym cast a fierce look at the monk, but Zack jabbed him with an elbow. The monk's cheerful demeanor was unsettling to the men. "I see by the looks on your faces that you are troubled by what has happened here today." Carym wondered briefly if the man had overheard their criticisms. "Have no fear, the infidel's soul is no longer in torment. He is with Croz now," Roderius said solemnly. "Brother," Carym began. Zack raised an eyebrow at him. "Yes," he said with a kindly smile. "Perhaps we are not the right choice for your project. We would not want to trouble you or the bishop or waste your valuable time." Zack gave Carym a meaningful glance. The possibility of making a tidy sum of money was winning out over Arnathian loathing. "Oh, I am quite sure you are the proper choice for this task," chuckled the oblivious monk. "Croz has a way of making these things work out for the best. Besides, the bishop has delegated the management of this task to Lord Kenneth. He is quite eager to see you gentlemen." The monk turned and began leading the men to the vast temple complex, big enough to be its own small city. Being a faithful devotee of Zul, like any good Clathman, Carym had never been inside the temple compound before, and he was awestruck by its immensity. His anger did not allow him to appreciate the quality craftsmanship and ingenuity that went into the construction of this place. He did not know how old it was, only that it had been completed long ago, during the early occupation. He knew that old Lady Maylie would have given him a solid slap across the shoulder with her cudgel for even thinking of what the inside of the temple looked like. The thought of the stern but kind old lady in the village of his youth forced a wry smile to Carym's face. Though still angry, Carym was curious as to the nature of the job, having not seen any new construction that might require their skills, but a sense of alarm tempered his curiosity. Then he realized that, as they were walking, the monk had given the men a visitor's tour, pointing out this and that item of interest. Carym wasn't interested. They had walked far longer than they ought to, and he was eager to see Lord Kenneth so that he could convince the Lord not to hire him. The main temple was an immense structure of marble and granite, with rows of columns lined with silver and gold. The front of the main temple opened on Temple Square. The rest of the buildings in the compound lined the sides of Temple Square. A heavily guarded gate stood menacingly at the front of the square, opposite the temple. Monks in scarlet robes with gold sashes walked slowly, with their hoods pulled low over their faces and their hands clasped in front of them. Priests in their golden robes walked here and there with a few temple-goers. All of them Arnathian settlers entered the temple grounds. At the center of the square in front of the main entrance was a statue of the Golden Dragon, the symbol of the Arnathian Empire and the Church of Croz. The air was thick with foreboding.